Depression is something that impacts, to be honest with you, I think everyone. I don't know anyone who hasn't had a bout of depression, especially not within the context of the last 16, 18 months. And for me, depression is unfortunately one of those all too familiar friends. And I remember being 7 years old the first time I really understood depression, which I think is incredibly young to have this kind of understanding. I remember one time I go to the therapist office. I had a therapist at 7 years old because I had a lot of really traumatic things happen. You guys know my past. And if you don't, go listen to episode 1. Fast forward pretty much the next 20 years of my life. And one day it kind of hit me. I was like, oh, shit. I'm pretty sure I've been depressed since I was like 7 years old. At that point in time, I was in this weird place in my life because I was transitioning into trying to become the person that I am today. And I was in this place where I was getting serious about therapy and coaching and mentorship and reading the books and doing all the work. And yet I still felt this overwhelming sense of dread, of sadness, of not wanting to get myself out of bed in the morning. And I'm in this moment of like trying to go through this journey and getting serious about it. I decided to go back to therapy. I found myself sitting and having a conversation with this therapist. And we had a conversation and he says, I think you're battling and you're dealing with depression. And I go, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's probably exactly what it is. So how do we fix this? What do we do about it? And he said, well, you take these prescriptions and then come in here and, that's what we'll do. Now, one of the things that you have to understand about my past also is I watched prescription drugs tear my family apart. And then I put myself in this position of asking myself, okay, if I don't take the medicine, how do I fix what's going on? How do I solve this problem? And at that time at 27 years old, I did not take it. If you are willing to keep going, somehow you'll work this out. So fast forward a few more years, I'm 30 years old, I'm living in Portland, and yet again, I'm faced with just crippling anxiety. And so I go to the doctor again and I say, I have crippling anxiety. I can't, I literally could not function. And for the first time in my life, I started to change the narrative that I had about prescription drugs. And I said to myself, all right, this actually could be really beneficial, especially once I started understanding the science of SSRIs and the way that they can really be impactful, especially in short-term sprints. And so luckily, it was at a period of time where I had not been so deeply into them that it was going to be dangerous to just pull myself off. And so I broke it down. I said, all right, you're going to do half a pill every other day for 2 weeks and you're going to be done with this. And so that was my game plan. I actually started feeling better really fast too, super fast. And what I understood about that was, okay, that's not going to be a long-term viable solution for me. And so I decided, you're going to focus on a goal. You're going to focus on this goal and you're going to get really serious about this idea of trying to get successful in business again. Okay, you know how to build a business. You know how to be successful in corporate America. You've done it before. You need a goal. When that goal started to come to fruition, I got really motivated. And then I was like, well, you've lost all this weight. You learned how to get healthy. Now here's what you're going to do. You're going to go become a certified personal trainer and nutritionist. And so I started doing that. And the next thing you know, I was a licensed and legal certified professional trainer and nutritionist. When I didn't have goals, when I didn't have ambitions, when I didn't have things that I was moving towards, depression just overcame me. I believe that we have to have goals. Anything that brings us joy and hope in our life, anything that makes us happy, even if it's a hobby. Look, I don't think you have to go and start the next business, but how can you invest your time in something that brings you joy and happiness in your life? Depression is going to come and go. Anxiety is going to come and go. And for me today, anxiety is such a different experience because I've learned so many of the modalities that help cope with it, right? Breathing, especially. The breathing modalities associated with dealing with anxiety, meditation, especially, those have become daily habits and tools of my life. I'm not saying depression is not real. I've dealt with it. I'm not saying anxiety is not real. I've dealt with it. I'm not saying prescription drugs don't work because for many people they do. What I am saying is that you have to ask yourself the question, am I living life? Or am I letting these things in my way live life for me?